Grand Rising, everybody. Grand Rising, how you doing? Welcome to the show. This is Coach Ren, and if you find me for the first time, we are a Christian deconstruction channel, as well as a Hermetic Alchemist channel. We are in our series on Tuesdays where we do What is Wrong with the Bible, where we are reading through, so far we've read through Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and now we're in Numbers. Not guaranteed that we're going to do the whole Bible, because that would take too long. But we're going to go for whatever we're going to read what we read. Go to whatever we go. I'm sure there are going to be some parts that we're going to skip. Some books. I can't take Chronicles. But we are deconstructing and finding out what is things that we, the mistakes in the Bible, as well as the, what's the word? Contradictions in the Bible. And today we're on Numbers 26 and 27. Give about 5 minutes for everybody to get on. I also do a little housekeeping. Part of that housekeeping is to let you know that we do not attack people on a personal level. If you do, you get blocked or kicked off. We are on YouTube and Facebook. I tried to go back to TikTok and let TikTok be live again, but TikTok just don't want to act right. The little trolls just be canceling it out and just irritate me. I ain't got time to build a channel up to 30,000 people like I did before with TikTok, and then all of a sudden lose the whole goddamn channel. I can't stand TikTok, to be honest. If it wasn't for its ease of making videos, I wouldn't even use it. But here we are. It does have its uses, so let me not say that. And as you know, if you've been with me for a while, you know I'm a cigar connoisseur. So we about to light our cigar as we are preparing and waiting for the 5-minute mark. We've got about 2.5 minutes to go. How was I hope you guys had a great little break. How was your break? And if you didn't see the video, we're doing a series. Unless you have a subscription to Facebook or YouTube. Subscription, not subscriber. Subscription, Facebook or YouTube. I'm going to teach y'all how to live the Hermetic alchemical life. We're going to go through it all. And we're going to utilize certain key points of your life in order for you to get the mental understanding of it. Yes, we're going to open your chakras. Yes, we're going to understand the 7 Hermetics, but we're going to utilize tools such as getting your finances right, getting your health right, getting your relationships right, so that you can then, Junior just put it up here. So that's funny. I was in the middle of it, then I saw his comment. So basically, I'm going to talk about this at the end of this, but I'm also talking about it right now for those who may not be able to stay on for as long. But in this program that we're going to start January 8th, we are going to go deep. See, right now, the information that I give as far as the Hermeticism is concerned, like opening your chakras. I had a young lady yesterday ask me, how does she open her chakras? I told her it's a very intense program. It takes time. It takes a lot of looking inward. If you've been a client of mine, then you know that in the beginning of it, there is a very in-depth process, intake process that I take you through, where you really have to look at who you've been and many of the biggest events that's led up in your life and how they may have affected you. And then in knowing those things, we can then understand how to open your chakras, for instance, how to get over your fears, your guilt, your shames, your anxieties, things that you may think you've gotten over, but they're still impacting your life. Until we open those things up, we can't truly use the 7 Hermetic principles in such a way that it benefits our life to its greatest level. If you're still held back by fear, then how can we use the law of cause and effect? You understand what I'm saying? If you are still running around with some guilt or some shame that other people have put on you or you've accepted and put on yourself, right? Then you're not going to be able to increase your vibration of the pole in order to have the greatest version of whatever the pole we're talking about, whether it's finances, whether it's relationships, or it's your health, or anything. So we are going to go through this process of getting all of that rectified together. And there are going to be I'm going to really heavily lay in on your relationships, your money, and your health, because those are the easiest things to count. When you can recognize, when you gain experience in running through the hermetics or living a hermetic life, when you gain experience in one area, it becomes easier for you to do it in other areas. So when I was a personal trainer, yes, I'm personal training, but I'm working on the mindset of my clients, right? So as I'm working on the mindset of my clients, we're seeing the evidence of it in their body. And one of the things I was always telling them when I was working with them, if you can learn to control your body, you can control your life. It's the same principles that we use to create and manifest the body that you want, the health that you want, is the same thing that you use to better your relationships, better your education, better your value to the marketplace, better your finances, better your relationship with your children, with your husband, and every other aspect. So that's what the program is going to be about, that we're going to get started on January 8th. You have to have a subscription, and on YouTube, it has to be at least a master's or alchemist subscription, not the apprentice subscription. So you have to have a subscription. There's only one subscription on Facebook. So you have to have a subscription. On my page, you should see subscription, and just click on it and go through the process, and you'll be there. And no matter when you start, all you do is, like, let's say a person you're just seeing this and it's June. Well, if you decide you want to do it, just become a subscriber. All the videos and now the process will be, you just start at the beginning. Don't try to jump in wherever we are at that time frame. All right. So that's what this program is about. So thank you for asking, Junior. That's what we'll be doing starting on the 8th. We're going to get more depth. We're going to live this life so that you can grow and you can raise your consciousness, because all of it leads to the raising of your consciousness. So get a subscription. I don't want to hear any whining. How long will the program run for, and what time are you starting each day if I can't make it live? Oh, no. There won't be a live every day. We're not doing that. It won't be a live every day. Some of the videos will be, like, there'll be a stretch of the week, a meditation of the week, a dumbbell workout of the week. And then there will be one live during the week dealing with a different subject matter. Because it's not a quick fix. It's not something that happens overnight. It's going to take time. So we're going to be doing this for months. I don't even know how long. I can't even give you a time frame of how long. Because we're going to handle each, kind of like when we went through the Kabbalion, and what did it take, like 13 weeks? Something like that. We're going to be handling it like that, because we're going to go through a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different books. I'm not going to read the whole books like we did before, but we're going to go through a lot of those things. Whether it's The Richest Man in Babylon, the Tao, the Kabbalion, we're going to be going through a lot of those types of things. The Emperor's Handbook. So it's going to take months. I have no idea how long it's going to be. And then it depends on the interaction of the people that's involved as to how long it's going to be as well. The more people talk, the more divergent questions that come up, things like that. So, because I will do my best to respond to as many messages that people submit in there and create additional videos. Yeah, so it'll be a lot. Oh yeah, this page will still be here, Angela. Yeah, this will still be here. No, this is just, I don't want to do all of that and put it on here, because what is the saying that they say in the Bible as well as the Kabbalion? You don't cast your pearls before swine. Granted, anybody can join this group. When people have to put a little, and it's not even a lot of money, it's like $5. When people have to put a little money out, they're less likely to do it in the way I figure a Christian is not going to support that. So they're not going to give their money. Plus, people put value on things when they put a little bit, even if it's a little, it's just $5. But even when people put a little $5 a month involved in something, they still put a little bit more value in it. But it'll be weird. I don't think a Christian would support that group. So, and I don't want their input. This is not a place for people to argue and come in there and talk about Jesus and all that. So let me do preface that. If somebody come in there and they're talking about Jesus, I will kick you out. I will kick them out that group. Let me go ahead and say it right now. I will kick them out the group because that's not what it's about. But I will still have this page. This is still the primary page for that'll be open to the general public, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, that's why. That's what. So this page will still be here. So we are overdue in getting started with today's readings of what's wrong with the Bible. Because we know there's a lot wrong with it. Okay. We know that there is a lot wrong with this book. Take breaks. You are the first person to ever tell me to take breaks. Thank you. I will keep that in mind. We're going to take some breaks. That's one reason why me and Angelina started the page Eat, Sip, Smoke, Travel. Eat, Sip, and Smoke, Travel, because we're going to be taking some breaks. That's one reason why I cut the lives down to 3 days out the week instead of 5. It was too much. And that's why there won't be a lot of lives in that situation, because I'm not going to spread myself thin. The last 12 years of my life, I have worked 7 days a week. We got a break. That's why we got to get all this right. All right. So we left off and we had a mysterious plague and all that in the previous chapter. And we actually had a storyline going on. We had Balaam and Balak. We had some stuff going on. Now we're gonna get back to some of this boring shit. But there's a few things in these 2 chapters that are good to go. There's a few things in the chapter that helps us out. I gotta get this late. So what do we got in this chapter? That we're gonna go for. But stick with me because this chapter is a little boring. So after the plague, the Lord said to Moses and Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, take a census of the whole Israelite community by families. All those 20-year-old men, all those 20-year-old or more who are able to serve in the army of Israel. So they're just talking about the men. So on the plain of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho, Moses and Eleazar, the priest, spoke with them and said, take a census of all the men 20 years old or more, as the Lord commanded Moses. Good delegation of authority. But so here we go. Yes, this is what we all need, another census. There is a bit of a different reason why this census is being taken. We know that way back in Numbers chapter 1. Chapter 1, that the census was taken in order to decide and know how many would be in the army. This census is for a little bit of a different reason. This one is for inheritance of land that they're going to steal from people. These were the Israelites who came out of Egypt. The descendants of Reuben, the firstborn son of Isaac, the firstborn son of Israel, were through Hanok, the Hanokite clan, through Palu, the Paluite clan, through Hezron, the Hezronite clan, through Carmi, the Carmenite clan. These were the clans of Reuben, whose number were 43,730. And you know, once again, just one of the reasons why we know that this can't be exactly right, because what census has these whole numbers? There's going to be whole numbers through the whole process here. And we know that that's highly improbable. The son of Palu was Eliab, and the son of Eliab was, you know, I'm gonna mess these names up, so don't, Numiel, Dathan, and Abiram. The same Dathan and Abiram were the community officials who rebelled against Moses and Aaron and were among Korah's followers when they rebelled against the Lord. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them along with Korah, whose followers died, and the fire devoured the 250 men. And they served as a warning sign. The line of Korah, however, did not die out. Number 16, it said that it killed all of Korah's family. So is number 16 right? Or is Numbers 26? Which one is correct? Did Korah have descendants who didn't die in the earthquake, though, or when the earth swallowed them up? And it said it swallowed up his entire family. But according to this one, it's saying that the line of Korah, however, did not die out. That would serve as a contradiction, in my opinion. And I think in the definition of contradiction, it will serve as contradiction. The descendants of Simeon were there by their clans were, and let me know if y'all think that was a contradiction while I read this. Through Numiel, the Numiite clan, through Jamin, the Jaminite clan, through Jachin, the Jachinite clan, through Zerah, the Zerahite clan, through Shaul, the Shulite clan, so Shul, through Shul, the Shulite clan. These were the clans of Simeon, whose numbers were 22,200, which is interesting. Simeon, in the first census, they were like 50,000 something, and now they're down to 22,200. I wonder what happened to them. The descendants of Gad by their clans were through Zephon, the Zephonite clan, through Haggi, the Hagganite clan, through Shuni, the Shunite clan, through Ozuni, the Ozunite clan, through Era, through Ei, the Ei clan, through Arodi, the Arodite clan, through Ariel, the Arelite clan. These were the clans of Gad, whose numbers were 40,500. I know this is so amazing. And Onan were sons of Judah, but they died in Canaan. I like how they give like this little information about these people, like they were talking about, but these are the Korah, but they got swallowed up, but then some of them live, even though we said it killed his whole family. And then at the end of this one, the clan of Gad, and and Onan were sons of Judah, before he goes into the Judah clans, the Judahite clans. But he said they died in Canaan. And we remember in Genesis why they died, right? Do y'all remember in Genesis why and Onan died? And Grand Rising to everybody that I haven't said Grand Rising to. Junior, Kim, Angela, Ronnie, LaQueen, Darian. If you don't remember, and Onan died. Just died. God just said, he wicked as hell and I don't like him, and he just killed him. There's never a reason. There's nothing. It's just a straight out blatant, I'm walking down the street and I feel like murdering somebody, and this guy murders. Right? Grand Rising trauma. Onan, on the other hand, had to marry wife because had not produced a child by her. And Onan was not married yet. And in their tradition, Onan had to marry his brother's widow and then give a son. But they had this messed up genealogy. So I don't know if you guys was with me in Genesis on this part, but they had this messed up way of thinking how genetics work, because they said that the son that is produced by Onan and Er's widow will be Er's son. That didn't work. But that's what they was going to say. And Onan was like, the hell with that. So he was jizzing on the floor. And so God killed Onan because he was jizzing on the floor and didn't want to impregnate his brother's wife and widow. Now, this all led to the whole deal. And this is Tamar, by the way, Tamar. And this all led to the whole thing of her tricking old boy into thinking she was a prostitute and getting pregnant by him. And then he wanted to kill her because she got pregnant while he was waiting on her youngest son to grow up. But he didn't want to give the youngest son. And then he got her pregnant, wanted to kill her, but then found out he was the one that got her pregnant and then said she was righteous. That whole bullshit. So they just mentioned it on it and on it. So if you didn't remember, if you weren't with me when we covered that part of Genesis, that was way back in Genesis when the stories were good and they had drama. Oh, it's your solar return, Nikki? Well, happy solar return, young lady. So we continue with this counting of the senses, trying to make it interesting by giving you the backstory of some of the comments that they say. The descendants of Judah by their clans were, I lost my place. By their clans were, through Shelah, the Shelanites clan, through Perez, the Perezite clan, through Zerah, the Zerahite clans, the descendants of Perez, through Hezron, the Hezronite clan, through Hamuel, the Hamulite clan. These were the clans of Judah, whose number were 76,500. These were the clans of Judah, who were the number 76,500. Love these whole numbers. They just come out so perfectly. The descendants of Issachar by their clans were through Tola, the Tolanite clans, through Puha, the Puite clans, through Jashur, the Jeshurite clan, through Simeron, the Simeron clan. These were the clans of Issachar, whose numbers were 64,300. The descendants of the Zebulun clan. These were the clans, by their clans were through Sered, the Seredites clan, through Elion, the Elion clan, through Jalil, the Jalilite clan. These were the clans of Zebulun, whose numbers were 60,500. Perfect numbers. Oh, thank you, Renee. Appreciate that. She said she turned her brother on to me, who was a Mason. And the descendants of Joseph by their clans, through the Manasseh and Ephraim, were the descendants. The descendants of, why is my brain don't want to say what this word is? Manasseh. Through Machir, the Machirites clan. Machir was the father of Gilead. Through Gilead, the Gileadite clan. These were the descendants of Gilead. Through Lezer, the Lezerite clan. Through Helek, the Helekite clan. Through Azriel, the Azrielite clan. Through Shechems, the Shechemite clan. Through Shemada, the Shemadite clan. Through Hefer, the Heferite clan. This is La Roma de Cuba. Okay, I've been working on this name because the I had this name. I worked on this name because I know I got to talk about this dude. Check. Zelophehad. I'm saying it so wrong. I know. Zelophehad. Z. Zelophehad had a son of Hefer, had no sons. He had only daughters, whose names were Marahi, Noah, Hogala, Mika, and Teresa. I hate reading these names. Now, you know this book does not mention women unless it's important. So I want you to hold on to the fact, because we got to come back to that name, that these women and the guy Z didn't have no sons. So we're going to come back to them in the next chapter. It sounds like I'm chanting a spell. I know. These were the clans of Manasseh, whose numbers were 52,700. You know, in one, these numbers were, the Manasseh clan was only like 30,000 something. So they've been getting it on. While the Simeon clan, I guess they hadn't been getting it on because they numbers dropped by about the same amount. These were the descendants of Ephraim by their clan. Through Shathula, the Shethuelite, through Becher, the Becherites, through Tahan, the Tahanites. These were the descendants of Shethulah. Through Aaron and Aaronite clan. These were the clans of the Ephraim, whose numbers were 32,500. I just want to get through this. These were the descendants of Joseph by their clans. The descendants of Benjamin. We got a little bit of interesting thing on this one. The descendants of Benjamin by their clan, through Bela, the Belites, through Ashbel, the Ashbelite clan, through Ephraim, the Ephraimite clan, through Shufam, the Shuphamite clan, through Hupham, the Huphamite clan. The descendants of Bela and Ard, the descendants of Bela through Ard and Naaman were through Ard and the Aradite clan, through Naaman, the Naamanite clan. These were the clans of Benjamin, whose numbers were 45,600. These were the descendants of Dan by their clan, through Shuham and Shuhamite clan. These were the clans of Dan. All of them were Shuhamite clans, and those numbers were 64,400. The descendants of Asher by their clan, through Imnah, the Ammonites, through Ishiv, the Ishivites, through Beriah, the Berites, through the descendants of Beriah, through Heber, the Heberite clan, through Machila, the Machilite clans. Asher had a daughter named Sarah. That'll come up later. Hebrew 10 clan. These were the clans of Asher, and the numbers were 53,400. The descendants of Naphtali by their clans were through Jephzeel, the Jephzelites, I'm saying that wrong, through Gunai, the Gunite clan, through Jezer, the Jezerite clan, through Shalem, the Shalemite clan. These were the clans of Naphtali, whose numbers were 45,400. The total number of the men of Israel were 601,730. They just need some filler space. But this whole thing, they're counting the numbers, and this is all for them to be able to inherit land, which is what it's going to talk about in the next sentence, right? Where the previous one was for war. There's only about 2,000 people less than what they had the first time when they did this. So they've only lost like 2,000 people. But many of these, when you go through and look at these descendants, you'll see that these are people who have survived from this whole wilderness, because they're getting ready to come out of this wilderness time frame. Is why they're taking this census. Now, of course, this is only counting men who are fighting age. 20 years or older, right? This is not counting the women. This is not counting the children. So the estimated number is more around the 1.5 million kind of number of people who are actually there, almost 2 million people. That's a hell of a lot of people over 400 years, starting from 70 people. If you remember when we started back in Exodus 1, the number of people who supposedly came, was only 70. And so in 400 years, they went from 70 people to 2 million. It's a whole lot of banging, right? What did Brett say? A bunch of pointless reading, you waste your life. You're trying to understand. Let's see, I don't want to miss too much what y'all saying. Yes. The only reason now we do have to read all of this stuff because what we don't want is people to be able to come out and say, well, you said you was reading through it. If you didn't read this part, then how can you understand that part? And just so a lot of this book is just a waste of time. All right. And it is. But that's why we deconstruct. We deconstruct. And I'm gonna tell you, this is how I deconstructed. When I was 12 years old, the first time I read the Bible from front to back. And this was part of my process of studying. I read from front to back over and over again, whether it was over a summer or it was over 6 months on a Navy boat. But one of the best ways to deconstruct is to actually read this Bible. You don't even have to study it to a degree where like you're going deep, deep, deep. But just to read it and see the foolishness, that in itself. Let's go ahead and finish out this chapter so we can get into some real conversation. The next chapter is a bit more interesting. So we still got a little bit more of all this bullshit. The Lord said to Moses, the land is to be allotted to them as an inheritance based on the number of names. To a large group, give a large inheritance, and to a smaller group, give a smaller one. Each is to receive its inheritance according to the number of those listed. Be sure that the land is distributed by lots. Now, isn't that interesting? Ask a Christian to play the lottery. So by lots and to make sure that it's distributed equally, what they're doing is having a lottery. And the larger groups get larger pieces of land, and that makes sense because it's a lot more people. The smaller groups get a smaller amount of land, right? But as far as the quality of the land, it's going to be casting of lots. Shake them up, shake them up, shake them. It's one of those things where if God says do it, it's fine. But when somebody else, then it's evil. But it shouldn't, it's either good or bad, no matter how you look at it. So they're casting lots. They're having a lottery. I don't know what the lottery, I think Powerball was like 800 something million yesterday. So it's all right for y'all to play the lottery. It's all right, Christians who on here. Y'all can play that lottery. Y'all can have that in mind. That's interesting. Hold on. A man on YouTube, Human said they had sex in the wilderness. They were exhibitionists. I want to ride with you on that one, but they had tents. But yeah, walking around for 40 years, they're getting it in. And getting it in, man. They got to get it in. And you're right, Donald. Some people don't see the foolishness when they're reading this book. But there are some things that are just obvious. Like that whole thing about and Onan, you should be able to read that and be like, what the hell? You should be able to read that and be like, this is crazy. Some of the stories people should easily be able to understand, even if they can't connect back to previous parts as well. They should be able to at least see some basic things. So let's continue with this one. What each group inherits will be according to the names of their ancestral tribe. Each inheritance will be distributed by lot among the larger and smaller groups. So very repetitive, got to fill some filler space. These were the Levites who were counted by their clans. We forgot about them because they don't get shit. Through Gresham, the Gershonite clan, through Korath, the Korathite clan, through Merari, the Merarite clan. These were the Levite clans. The Libanites, the Hebonite clan, the Mahalite clan, the Mushanite clan, and the Korathite clan. Korath was the forefather of Aram. The name of Aram's wife was Jochebed, a descendant of Levi, who was born to the Levites in Egypt. And Aram, she bore Aaron, Moses, and his sister Miriam. Aaron was, now hold on before I go there. If you weren't with us in the Genesis when we talked about this, we broke down how Amram, and Jochebed are brothers and sisters. And Jochebed is the mother of Aaron, Moses, and Miriam. So Jochebed is both Moses' mama and his auntie. This is why in that video in Genesis, I was calling her his auntie mom, because she was the auntie mom. That's all. Just want to remind y'all of that one if you weren't with me during Genesis when we talked about that. And this is one of those parts that people can skip over if they just jumped here and not realize who these people were and the incest. So Moses is the birth of an incestuous relationship of brother and sister. Now, Aaron was the father of Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. But Nadab and Abihu died when they made an offering before the Lord with an unauthorized fire. Because if you remember earlier in Nadab and Abihu, they were making a fire, but they didn't make it the right way. So God killed them because they didn't make it the right way. It doesn't always result in mental deficiencies, trauma, but he's a child of incest. He is a child of incest. All the male Levites, a month old or more, numbered 23,000. And they were not counted along with the other Israelites because they received no inheritance among them. These are the ones counted by Moses and Eleazar, the priests, when they counted the Israelites on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. Not one of them was among those counted by Moses and Aaron, the priests, when they counted the Israelites in the desert of Sinai. For the Lord had told those Israelites that they would surely die in the wilderness, and not one of them was left except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, son of Nun. Now, if you remember those people, that is why inbreeding is a bad idea. Incest, hold on, before I finish this chapter. Incest happened with a lot of different tribes, a lot of different people, period, around the world. There was this idea of maintaining the bloodlines of families. And they thought that by, marrying your cousins or sisters and things of that nature, that you was maintaining the bloodline. So there was a whole bunch of that kind of thing. Now, human inbreeding can cause problems. Animal inbreeding doesn't cause the same problems. Like most lions are having sex with their sisters, and aunties and cousins and stuff like that. But for humans, it does cause a problem over time. So we had to realize to stop that nonsense. But you can trace that back to the Anunnaki story as well, because the Anunnaki story with the Sumerians, they taught this, like Anu and Namu are brother and sister. But even when you look at Anu and his other wife, Tiamat, they were brother and sister. Was Tiamat? No, not Tiamat. Shit, I can't think of the name right now. But they all were interbreeding with each other as well, according to their stories. So it was common to do that back in the day. Still nasty. Still wrong. Where was I at? There was something I was going to talk about. It made me forget. Oh, Caleb and Joshua. So everybody else who had came out of Egypt, remember a couple of chapters back, he said that everybody who came out of Egypt, because they was complaining over and over again that all of them were going to die, right? And then when they finally got to Jericho, getting ready to go into the promised land, Caleb and Nun and Joseph were part of the group that went, part of the 12 spies. When they came back, the other spies were like, we can't take them. We can't handle them. But Caleb and Joshua were like, nah, we can take them fools. So this guy was like, well, since y'all complaining that like y'all can't take them, ain't none of y'all going in there who's seen the miracles that I performed in Egypt or, so on and so forth. So all y'all gonna die except for Caleb and Joshua. So that's why all the rest of the people, it mentioned all the rest of the people were the ones who were not counted in the first census, except for Caleb and Joshua, because they're not going into the promised land. And of course, we're going to go over in the next chapter a little bit of why Moses' ass ain't going either. But first, we got to have a moment of women's liberation. Just a moment, because it ain't going to last long. So in chapter 27, we get back to a little bit more of a storyline, because that census shit is boring. And I'm sorry I had to put y'all through it. Oh, I can't say this dude's name right. You're killing me. The daughters of Zelophehad. That's how I'm gonna go with that. The daughters of Zelophehad, son of Hebner, son of Gilead, son of Machiri, and son of Manasseh, belonged to the clan of Manasseh, son of Joseph. The name of the daughters were Malaha, Noah, Holag, Hagla, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came forward and stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the whole assembly at the entrance of the tent of meetings, and said, our father died in the wilderness. He was not among Korah's followers who banded together against the Lord, but he died of his own sin and left no sons. Why should our father's name disappear from his clan because he had no sons? Give us property among our father's relatives. So they came and standing up. Because the thing about it back then, the way they had it, the women couldn't inherit nothing. Right? They couldn't get nothing. See what y'all say. So they couldn't get that. They complaining about them not getting inheritance, which they're valid in that. But so let's see what happens. So Moses brought their case before the Lord, and the Lord said to him, what Z's daughters are saying is right. You must certainly give them property as an inheritance among their father's relatives, and give their father's inheritance to them. Sounds like this God is trying to be good for us, change. Say to the Israelite, if a man dies and leaves no son, give his inheritance to his daughter. If he has no daughter, give the inheritance to his brother. If he has no brothers, give his inheritance to his father's brother. If his father has no brothers, give his inheritance to the nearest relative in his clan, that he may possess it. This is to have the force of law for the Israelites, as the Lord commanded Moses. Now there's some things in that one that you may catch, some things in there that you might not catch. So it's what seems that this God is saying that, hey, I have women. And here's what's interesting. Let me tell you something that's interesting. Anytime I've done a video where I've talked about how this guy hates women, no one ever brings this part up. You would think this would be the part that they would say, no, God showed equal treatment to women because he said women should inherit property, right? But there's a couple of reasons why people never bring this up to me. One reason is that when we get to Numbers 31, they put an asterisk by it. Slow down, Angela, I'm getting there too. They put an asterisk by it. They said that this God says in 31 that if a father dies and has no sons and the daughters get the property, then the only way the daughter can get the property is if she marries somebody in the family, in the clan. She has to marry another Israelite. If she marries somebody outside of an Israelite, she cannot inherit that property. But it has to be, so she has a clause on her inheritance. She got some Brewster's Millions going. She got that clause. But Angela beat me to it a little bit. If you also notice in that whole reading of if he has no sons, then it goes to the daughters. If he has no daughters, then it goes to the brother. If he has no brother, it goes to the sons of the brother. If he has no brother, then it goes to the daddy brother, and so on and so forth to the nearest relative. Some strange ass cousin can inherit your land, and it never mentioned a wife, never mentioned a sister, it never mentioned an auntie, it never mentioned a mother, it didn't mention a slave wife either. So the wife don't get shit. This is why, if you think about the book of Ruth, right? This is why when Naomi lost her husband, lost her two sons, lost her two sons. When Naomi and Ruth came back, the land that Naomi's husband owned could not go to Naomi, nor could it go to Ruth. But it wound up going to Boaz when he married Ruth, because he would have been the nearest cousin. But remember, Boaz had to trick the actual elder cousin into not taking Ruth so he can get the land. So that's why when people say, I'm looking for my Boaz, I'm looking for my Ruth, I'm like, do you really know that story? But it seemed like he was being, a little women's lib, but not when you put an asterisk on it. Not when you put an asterisk on it. I just did a video where I mentioned this. I don't talk about Islam because I don't know a lot about Islam. I only talk about the little bits that I do know. I know enough to walk away from it. The fact that it is covered, that it follows these Abrahamic stuff in Genesis is enough for me. But no. So let's continue. So you just have to catch what little bit I do talk about Islam. And it's usually when it coincides with something else that I'm talking about as far as Christianity. So we see that it's not actually women's lib. It got a little to it. So now let's continue. Then the Lord said to Moses, go up this mountain in the Abarim range and see the land I'm giving the Israelites. After you've seen it, you too will be gathered up to your people as your brother Aaron was. Remember, Aaron is dead now. For when the community rebelled at the waters in the desert of Zin, both of you disobeyed my command to honor me as holy before their eyes. These were the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the desert of Zin. Ain't that messed up? Hey, come on over here. I want to show you this nice spread that I'm going to give to the people, that you've been leading around, that I told you to bring out of slavery bondage. I'm going to show you this nice spread. Your ass ain't going in there. Nah. Remember when you was in the desert of Zin? And when you was told to strike the rock, and you went out there, but you had to give a little speech, Then you had to strike the rock twice, and then act like you was taking the credit for doing it, and you didn't give me the credit. Nah, you ain't going in the house, bro. You gonna die first. You're gonna be gathered up to your ancestors, because that's what gathered up to your ancestors mean. That's a very vindictive minded God. Very vindictive minded God, that you're going to, this man was minding his own business. Now marry him a good Midianite woman, living his life, having babies. You bring him to Egypt. He do all your little damn miracles, him and his brother. He leads your people out. He manages the people the way you want them. He goes up 40 days, get your little stone. He obeys you like all this time. He obeys you all this time. And he make this little mistake here. But we know that this is the mindset of this guy, because even when Moses was on his way to Egypt, he ain't circumcised his son. He was going to kill him then. But this is jacked up. I'm going to take, look at this nice spread. A hungry man, he go to this nice buffet, but you can't eat it. That's messed up. All because of this one time that you didn't give me credit. And, maybe that's why some of these people, those people who walk around and every word out their mouth is thank you. They always got like, thank you, Jesus. I was walking down the street, thank you, Jesus. And then I got him a car, thank you, Jesus, for the car. And then I drove to work, thank you, Jesus, for the work. Maybe they're trying not to be like Moses. Me and Angelina got a little joke because there's a person that we know, and we call him MBG. Nothing but God. Because that's what comes out 90% of the time. Nothing but God. So Moses said to the Lord, may the Lord, the God who gives breath to all living things, appoint someone over the community to go out and come in before them, one who will lead them out and bring them in. So the Lord's people will not be like sheep without a shepherd. So the Lord said to Moses, take Joshua, son of Nun, a man whom in the spirit of leadership, and lay your hand on him. Have him stand before Eleazar, the priest, and the entire assembly, and commission him in their presence. Give him some of your authority, so the whole Israelite community will obey him. He is to stand before Eleazar, the priest, who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of Urim before the Lord. Now, y'all know, wait a minute, let me finish this. Urim before the Lord. At this command, he and the entire community of the Israelites will go out, and at his command, they will come in. Moses did as the Lord commanded him. He took Joshua and had him stand before Eleazar the priest and the whole assembly, when he laid hands on him and commissioned him as the Lord instructed Moses. Now, that's the end of that chapter. Here again, remember this thing said, do not use divinations and that sort of thing. They're always telling you that. Don't use divination. But look at that line in verse 21. He is to stand before Eleazar the priest, who will obtain decisions for him by inquiring of the Urim. If you remember when we first talked about when they had Urim and I forgot the other stone, but it's a black stone and a white stone. And the tradition back in the day was if you had a decision where you was unsure of, now if you knew to go right, then you went right. But if you was like, do I go right? Do I go left? I don't know. Then you consult the stones. You reach into a bag, and whichever one you pull out, one meant yes, one meant no. And so that's how you would decide which way to go, right? So is that not divination? Because that's what they say any other type of divination is. So we've seen in it today that they've cast lots in this chapter, and they're using divination. the very things that they say that other people should not be doing. Right? That's loud. I don't know if y'all can hear all that. And then, but one of the good things they just showed right here is a separation between church and state. Because now, instead of Moses being the religious leader and the spirit and the president, so now Joshua's gonna be the president and Eleazar gonna be the religious leader. So at least they got some separation, church and state, going on. But that's the end of that chapter. It doesn't leave us on a cliffhanger. We know that in the next chapter Moses is gonna die. I think he dies in the next chapter. I don't know. I didn't go that far, but we know Moses ain't gonna make it into the promised land. Oh, don't y'all love when people come on here and they don't know their own book? Nothing is wrong with the Bible. Us people are that make these things bad. I always like those stuff up there. Y'all know that I'm not trying to pick on people. Us people are that make things bad. We usually choose to do what's wrong, like sacrifice our children to Moloch. Okay, there's one thing about doing this. So if y'all really knew me, if you knew me, one thing you would know about me is I hate having to repeat myself. Like, I can't stand it. And I can't stand listening to somebody who repeats themselves. But it seems like I have to say certain things over and over again. A Moloch is a child sacrifice to a deity, to any deity. In the tradition, it is called a Moloch. There is no deity named Moloch. But now archaeologists did think at a time that there was a deity called Moloch, but we found out like 20 some odd years ago that the act of child sacrifice is a Moloch sacrifice. And the Israelites used to do it. We talked about it in Leviticus of how they were doing Exodus and Leviticus, how they did child sacrifice. And archaeologically, we found temples. They found temples in northern Israel, in the northern Israelite kingdom, where they did child sacrifice. So stop with where they was doing that. But even if they were, your God's only solution is to genocide the people. That's sad. Or like many Satanists are doing right now, sacrificing their own children to Hasatan. You know what? I would love for some of these people to go prove that. They just claim it. They claim it, but they have no proof of it. You have no proof of anybody doing child sacrifices. Of Satanists doing it. Show me some proof of it. Where the video? Where the pictures? Where are the bodies? Where the bodies at? That's what I want to see. Now we're in that part where we can talk about anything. What are these people? Well, yeah, Urim is Urim and Urim. I had it in my head for just a second, and I lost it again. It's two stones. I forgot the name of the two stones. Which, if you're a part of the subscription group, I can go ahead and tell you right now, you probably want to go ahead and get The Richest Man in Babylon, Secret of the Millionaire Mind. Those are two financial books. Get the Kabbalion, get the Tao, get The Alchemist. The Alchemist is definitely a great book because I will be referring to those, and the Emperor's Handbook. But Urim and Thummim are talked about in the book The Alchemist as well, as to how to use them. Let me skip down the way y'all at. Yep. I have to keep telling them. Gotta keep telling them that a Moloch, what that is. And see, one of the things that Christians and people they try to run away from is the fact that when it talked about giving the firstborn of the children of Israel and giving and it says in the same way that you give the firstborn of the cow and all these other a few other animals, those animals were given in blood sacrifice, and it says you give the firstborn the same way. Then later on, the Levites are separated, and the Levites then becoming to represent that sacrifice of the firstborn. And then if there were more firstborn of the other tribes than there were Levites, then they had to give some other animals in replacement for the sacrifice of the firstborn. And we went through all of that. So the book is showing you how they did child sacrifice, but then they changed their ways a little bit later on. But initially, they did the child sacrifice. So it's kind of like, oh, we used to do it, but we don't do it no more. So now we're going to demonize the hell out of y'all for doing it. But you used to do it too. Don't act like you innocent, like you ain't got no blood on your hand. But this is also why, in the senses that we just read, the Levites aren't inheriting any land, because they already getting everything they already getting all this gold and silver, and they're getting shekels of silver for a whole bunch of stuff, and they're getting all the animals, and they're already gaining so much property from these people. And imagine that. Oh, before the Levites became a representative of the firstborn given sacrifice, a woman would have a baby knowing her firstborn son is going to be killed. That, imagine how stressful. I mean, there's some ladies on here. Ladies, how stressful would that be? You 14, 15 years old, pregnant for the first time, knowing that if it's a boy, you got to sacrifice that boy. That's some hard shit there. We going to hide. If you was my wife and we got that first one, we just gonna leave the tribe. Yes. Crystal said, isn't there a story in the Bible where this guy tells God he will sacrifice the next thing that comes out of his house, and his daughters come out of the house? I'm sorry, I can't remember the details. Yes, that I think that is in Judges. I think that's in Judges, where see, the guy says, God, if you let me win this battle, I'm gonna sacrifice the first thing that comes through the doors. So this guy said, bet. All right. So he goes, he wins the battle. When he comes back home, the first thing that comes out the door to greet him is his daughter. She's all happy. And so now he had to kill his daughter. You know. But that is you know, y'all know who my friend is. Y'all know my friend Dr. Google. In the Bible, sacrifice his daughter, first thing coming out the door. Japheth. Yep, that was Japheth when he was going up against the Amorites. And that is in Judges. Yep, so I was right. This is Judges 11. That's some of that old bullshit. Why would you even say that? Why would this guy just, hey, can I win the battle? Just leave it right there. You know, learn how to negotiate. Let God say, well, what I get out of the deal? You know, I'll sacrifice some cows and stuff. Not the first thing that's going to come through my door. What makes him think that a horse or a cow or something going to come through the door? He had to know that it's going to be a person. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir, human. He said, that's why I think people in the Bible were white. Africans wouldn't sacrifice an animal. That's a waste of perfect good meat. You're thinking about people today. In the practice of Ifa, sacrificing animals is still going on today. Like up until today, we still sacrifice animals in Ifa, voodoo, voodoo. So nah, and they were sacrificing animals too. Actually, if you look around, most cultures, ancient cultures, sacrificed animals. I'm with you, Angela. I'm pretty sure that's to my question of you were pregnant and all that kind of stuff. You would be rolling out. Exactly. Right. Exactly. They would have had to kill me because I'm like, no, this is my child. I'm out. I am out. I didn't say it. Quinn said it. The Quinn said it. I ain't say it, y'all. I ain't say it. The Quinn said it. The Queen said it. But let's share. And I do appreciate you guys. You guys are tremendous at sharing the channel, sharing the videos, commenting on the videos. You guys are great at that, and I do appreciate it. Not necessarily. You see, the Bible is a little bit complex in this, and this is why you can't make the broad. I don't like to make broad statements. So in the Genesis part, they're worshiping El, right? But then they move from worshiping El to worshiping Yahweh. Now, to understand how it works in the Canaanite religion, El is the daddy. His wife is Asherah. They had two sons. Well, two of their sons is Baal and Yahweh. So they started worshiping Yahweh. It is later on the southern king of Judah for a time worshipped Baal, right? And they called him El again, but they mixed him with El. Then they mixed El and Yahweh together, got rid of Asherah, and this is by the time you get to Hezekiah, and then it's just back to then it's just all this one God. Now you did have one of Hezekiah's sons, I think it's his son, it's his son who did worship Baal, but then his son, which is Josiah, I believe, came back to worshiping El. And then Ezra was just full on El, Yahweh, the same person. So it's all crazy. But you got to think these changes are happening over, this is what they did for these 200 years. And then this is what they did for the next 100 years. And then this is what they switched back up to for the next 200 years. So you have these long periods of time where they are focused in one thing. It's kind of like how doctrine has gone in Christianity. A doctrine will live it used to be a doctrine might live for like 3-4 centuries. So now we're in a situation where a doctrine may only live for like a generation or two. Well, thank you, Julie. We appreciate you. Welcome to the family. Hold on, let's see. You back. I'm sorry. I have inner monologues, okay, and inner jokes. So when I saw Tyrone's name and the fact that we're moving at the end of the month, and I thought about Erykah Badu's song, "You Better Call Tyrone so you can get your shit." So I was about to say, "Hey Tyrone, we moving. So I'm gonna need you to come on over here and help us move." But I was also reading what he said at the same time. So my apologies. Anyway, thank you for giving us time and energy. You're welcome. Maybe in the future you could use that wonderful map behind you to show us when and where and how these tribes move around to conquer each other. A lot of people don't know that there were Africans that ruled in Rome and Spain. That would be a good video in actuality. That would be a good one. But I'm going to have to do that a little differently. I'm going to need something a little more interactive for that. Noble wrote a book. Taking the Bible at its word and including events representing extra biblical canon reveals the death of about 2.8 million, while the actual number due to the text having left out the flood death is probably around 25 million. Wired took things even further and compared the God ordained deaths to those caused by or carried out by the name of God's antithesis Satan. The number is only 10, meaning that God was at least partially responsible for. Ain't that some shit? The overwhelming majority of deaths in the Bible is done by this God. So, doesn't Satan work for God in the book of Job? All right, so in the book of Job, yes, the Satan, but let's understand it this way. Again, Satan, a Sumerian word, means administrator. When it got crossed over into Akkadian, which is the first Semitic language that we know of, it became adversary. But they used the same word, adversary. Now, in Job, it was just Satan, a title. Could have been 11 people can be the Satan. It wasn't Ha-Satan. So, which is the Satan. But it still just meant adversary. And this adversary was more like a prosecutor who was going up into heaven and down to earth. Now, according to Enoch and according to the doctrine of the Bible, Satan is not up in heaven. He was cast out. So the devil, the evil one, was kicked out. The one who rebelled was kicked out. So the one who rebelled could not be Satan, the Satan, because he's going into heaven. So the one who was kicked out is not responsible for the 7 or 8 deaths that occur in Job. That's an angel of the Lord. I just think about that. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the fact that if the one who rebelled was kicked out of heaven, then that one who rebelled cannot be the same one that is in the story of Job, because how is he in heaven if he was kicked out of heaven? So this is a whole nother person. This is a whole nother entity. This is one of the angels in the court of God, whose title job is to question things. And he went down and killed someone. And it's not unheard of for these ones who are so-called angels to kill. Remember when we was just doing Balaam and Balak last week? The angel that came down and the donkey was running away from had told Balaam that I was going to kill you. So it's not like angels don't kill. You know what? I got to make a side video about that. Angels kill. They kill humans because he was going to kill Balaam. Lucifer is the planet Venus, and the way that the planet Venus looks like it falls at the rising of the sun in the morning. Lucifer is a planet. And they thought it was a star, but it's a planet. That's why it's called, morning star. called the Morning Star, the Light Bringer. It's an astrological event. It has nothing to do with any beings. What? Clapping for you as you in the fall was the fall of the Babylonian Empire. Yeah. Because that was what it was talking about. It was talking about how this king, you're gonna fall like the morning star if you don't get your shit together. You know? It's using a metaphor. Right. They call Jesus the morning star in Revelation. I heard the angel that impregnated Mary got me too. He's stupid. Oh, Semper Fi, Scott. Semper Fi. Devil dog. But yeah, it's a I think this is I did a video yesterday. I think it was yesterday when I talked about like why people are leaving the church, and it was specifically towards black people, because that was the person who had asked the question was specific towards them. One of the reasons why is because when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet. In order to find these things out, you had to go into the libraries. I think this generation, Gen Z, whatever they call them, whatever the generations, and even just people, period, we're able to read. We're able to find out information now. We don't fall for the same bullshit. The planet Venus is the morning star. That's what they were talking about as the morning star. It's the planet Venus. Also, I'm not sure if it's stated in the Bible. However, I heard the story that angels are jealous, envious of humans because angels were created with the ability of choice. Supposedly, they were supposedly only created to obey, weren't created with the ability of choice. They were only supposed to obey and carry out orders, or so I've heard. That was a doctrine that was taught like back in the day, that angels were jealous of humans. And actually, there's some of those movies. I forgot the movies that they made that are about that. You got Christopher Walken in it. But we call man the little hairy monkeys. But yeah, that was one of the doctrines that was taught, that the angels didn't have a choice. But if the angels didn't have a choice, then how did the angel in Enoch choose to fight? And how did a third of the angels choose to follow who they call Lucifer, but it's not Lucifer, the devil? We're just going to use the term the devil. How did they had to make a choice? They have to have the ability of choice to do that. I think it was because there's nothing but dudes up there. Because all the angels are dudes. Can't be in a whole room full of dudes. We need some women. But I'm just joking. But no, the angels, the so-called angels do have choices. They have the choice, which that's demonstrated by the whole war in heaven aspect of it. But there was the idea that angels were jealous of man because this God gave man more choice, more freedom of choice, and gave them more than the angels. But also they thought that man was less than, like a subspecies. And why is this guy giving them so much attention? So it's also like the dad who leaves his family and then goes and start a new family, and he's paying more attention to these kids than he was his first kids. Right. And that was the thought, that they were jealous because they were the only thing. Thank you. The Prophecy. Yeah, that was the name of that movie. I love that. Was a great, that actually, I believe that was the first movie that I saw Christopher Walken in, and that's when I became a fan of his. Why do angels have wings? Gravity doesn't apply to them. Now, not all angels have wings, but some of them, most of them do. And it's the way we depicted them since they fly. Um, that's how early man believed the only way you could fly is to give you wings. But if you look at the Sumerian story, the angels are nothing no more than lower caste Anunnaki and the Agigi. So that's all the angels are, according to the Sumerian. According to the Hopi and who else? I think in the Polynesians, the Aboriginals, they are merely the sons and daughters of the Sky people. They're part of the Sky people. Right. But at the end of the day, nobody can prove an angel. If something came down and said that they were an angel of the Lord in today's world, we would be like, dude, what planet you from? Come on now. Or are you from Middle Earth? Where you from? You ain't no damn angel. Yeah. Nobody, even Christians, that's why I did the video like last week. Even Christians, if they saw the description of how either Ezekiel or Enoch described angels, they're gonna run. They're gonna run. They're gonna be terrified. You want to see a church empty? They will empty that church. That's why I had to take another look, another thought process on when the Bible tells, when it tells them, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could tell a mountain to move. Not saying, I had to rethink that and think about the fact that really this guy's like, if you even had that, saying that you ain't got no faith. Y'all don't, these humans do not have faith in this God. I don't think any one of these humans, and that includes the ones that have been in my family. My grandmother was devout Christian, even though she did give me a whole lot of leeway and listen to me as a child, let me speak my thoughts and how I was reading this book and all these questions. She ain't have faith of a mustard seed. Sorry. And I love that. I love that lady to life. But nobody, none of them have even that much faith. And I reconsidered what that scripture is saying to the Christian, that y'all don't have even that much faith. That's why they can't do shit. That's why they can't walk into a hospital and just start healing people, growing back limbs, walking on water. They can't do none of those things because none of them actually even have that much faith. What would man say? They would probably mistake them for a demon. What do I think about the Nephilim? I think, look, to me, all these stories of Nephilim and Anunnakis and all those, I think there were previous Earth-based civilizations that survived, that were in existence prior to the last ice age, about 25,000 years ago. They survived it, and when they came back after the Younger Dryas flood, they lied to those people and told them they were gods. And the Nephilim were just them having sex with those people. Yeah, but to believe anything is the same thing as guessing. They just guessing. Believing in something without any evidence. I think, man, have you not gotten any in a couple of days? This is your third comment that's sexualized. Now, in the Songs of Solomon, when he's talking about Sheba and he describes mountain, he is in Songs of Solomon talking about her breasts. He is talking about her breath. But yeah, I think I might need to do a video about the fact that none of these Christians got real faith. They claim faith. No, they ain't got no faith. They don't. They do not. Right. Trauma. Human. Trauma saying you having a drop, bro. Because he was like, man, I couldn't been out there. He had another comment where he said something about them having sex out there in them tents. They must have been white because he got to make some noise and all that. They out there being quiet. Right. Faith and belief is just making assumptions. You know, and that's what it is. Even when I talk about the all in the Hermetics, it is still an assumption. There is no proof of the all. But what there is proof of is my intelligent brain and the worlds that I create in my mind and the power of my mind. And the more you can control that power of your mind, you control what happens in every aspect of your existence. Yeah, and this is some bull. Blessed who dashes baby heads against rocks. And you have this out in Romans. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Right? They just go back and forth. Right. And just because you don't believe something doesn't make it true. Just because you believe something doesn't make it true at all. I believed that I was going to win that $810 million Powerball last night. I woke up this morning very disappointed because I didn't win. I didn't win. I feel some kind of way. I had to scroll down. I'm having a major trial. Bruh, you gotta handle that. I know if you anything like me, if I have a drought, I'm like a Snickers commercial. I'm hangry. I get hangry. Right, Crystal. As within, so without. I can see those things in this existence we're in now. So it would logically make sense that you would see those things in the higher realms as well. I don't know that book. Ezra? I don't know that book. All right, y'all typing faster now. What the hell did LaQuinn write? Seeing a lot of posts regarding Israel onlyism. What is that? Deuteronomy 32, 8 through 9 clearly shows that Yahweh was given his portion by El Elyon, and his portion is Israel. That is, Yahweh is the God of Israel, a local small group of gods, as believed by the majority of the folks in that religion for over a millennia. New Testament says this and that. It doesn't matter. It was clearly established that Yahweh was the God of Israel. Right. And you know what how another reason that makes sense? Because that's how it was back then. And even in the Sumerian story, there comes a point where Anu says that, look, there's too much fighting. So you go be the God of these people, you go be the God of those people, you get some people, and he Oprah them, you get some people, and you get some people, and you get some people. And they all went out and they all got their own people. Enki was the only one who didn't get a people. He was the messenger of the gods. So that's why he's also Thoth and Hermes. They represent him as Thoth and Hermes. So he was going around and got to do a whole bunch of stuff. But they all got a portion of people. And that's why they wrote it that way. That's why they were all henotheistic, because they believed that these were gods. That's why I think, in my estimation, that these are just pre-existing people prior to the last ice age who just had higher and greater technology. And they might not have been human. And this is a good thing right here. Angela, let's get on this one for a second. When I was a kid, the church got together and we all prayed over a member. She had cancer. Well, I'd be damned if she was cured. Now, some will say it was a spirit. Some will say it was the medicine. I was maybe like 10 in the Baptist church. And I think maybe it was the love and the concern of all of us releasing the power and maybe in some way help. I would say it was a combination, but it's not so much a belief in a God as much as the belief of the people and the power and the energy of the people. There's this video, and I'm gonna have to find it, where it's a Chinese hospital that only practice medicine that's energy based, no conventional medicines at all. And what they do is they chant, "I am in the presence of a healthy woman." And they show how this tumor just went away, right? If you're taking medicine, so you can't, and the tumor went. So I do accept that the human power, the power of the mind and the power of will can control the matter form to certain degrees. And these people are figuring that out. Now, if you're taking medicines, of course, medicine is going to do what medicine do. So if somebody say that somebody healed somebody, that's just belief to me. Because I've seen somebody get healed while they were taking medicine, and everybody in the room, nobody was allowed in that room who didn't believe that that person was going to walk out the door. I mean, the wife told the doctors and the nurses, "Don't come in here unless you know that he's going to walk out of here." But these people like to just get saved. God did it. So Brian W., what's up, bro? We can end the God of Israel BS. How can we hear about this when we say that when it says on the old tablets, and he's talking about the Merneptah Stele, where the Pharaoh at that time frame said, "And Israel is no more," because he kicked their ass. I don't think he actually literally genocided the people. I think if he did, he may have those people at that time. But if he did, it was picked up by another group and they began to call themselves Israel. Or he didn't completely genocide those people. And then they later on reestablished themselves during the Bronze Age collapse, which is when they established themselves, is during the Bronze Age collapse. Because in 1200, in the 1200s, which is the time frame of the Merneptah Stele, and that Pharaoh, he said that he killed them, that Israel is no more. Now, he could have just meant that as that he just destroyed them so much that they ain't nothing but a little band of few people running around. Yep, and wrong don't cease to be wrong just because the majority agree. Yeah, and this is what we're going to be doing if you have a subscription, is working on the power of your mind. That is it. That lady who had wrote the comment that made me decide to do this, I think her name was Yvonne. I can easily look at the things that have happened in my life and things that I have in my life and the way that I am and everything. All of it is the power of my mind. All of it is decisions that I have made and the vibration that I put out there. That's it. Ain't shit else created, nothing else in my life other than that. Jet makes a good point. They are engineering biblical events to galvanize the masses to submit to their power. I think that is going to happen even more so than people realize it, that they will purposely manifest events to make people believe in this God, because the church is losing its people. And there's a point of no return for some of the larger organizations, whether it's the Catholics, the Protestants, the Lutherans, the AMEs. When they get to a certain point, they are going to have to engineer some of these events to make people run back to them out of fear. They're going to have to run back to them out of fear. And they use computers to generate images. There was this video I saw where they said this is how they're going to trick people into believing in this God. And they had like this computer generated hologram of some, he looked like, what's the dude with Godzilla? It was Godzilla, and then you had that space alien dude. Oh man, I forgot his name. Ultraman. This Ultraman looking like character. And then he flew up and like a portal in the sky opened up, and then he flew into the portal and the portal closed up. It was some great holographic thing for some show. They gonna trick the shit out of people with that. Yeah, Jesus is supposed to be a new covenant. What's interesting that this new covenant differs from the old covenants. And what's interesting about all the other old covenants, all the old covenants were still the same. Jesus brings in a covenant that's different, which changes the nature of this God. But this God is supposed to never change. Oh, Trauma, you saw it? Yeah. And that shit looked real. It was fantastic. I was like, wow, that's amazing. You know, but see, we recognize it's just technology. You know, but the person who desires this Christianity so deeply will think that it's real. I don't think the new covenant changed the nature of man. The new covenant was just based on the new culture that was in place. Many things of the old covenant under the Roman rule during that time frame would not have been allowed. And one of the covenants that it had to change was this idea of a earthly messianic leader who was going to rebel against the Roman government and take the land back and control Israel. That's what the new covenant is, just saying that the kingdom of the Messiah is in heaven and not on earth, not in the now. And that's what the Jews were looking for at that time frame, which was causing a disruption in the Roman Empire. So this new covenant was to sideline them from fighting against the Roman government. Now, I do think how to stage a rapture, you're going to have how are you going to do that though? You know, you got to pinpoint Christians and kill all of them in order for that to happen. And you got to disintegrate the body. But this is why we have to build our mind. Nothing in this world is real until you make it real. You make your own power in a way. You are your own God. Everything and everyone are just just guys on your path. And we're going to get into that in the subscription group. This is what they believe, that he was this ultimate human blood sacrifice and that the earth is cursed because he cursed the land with Cain. But the earth is not cursed. The earth just exists. There's people say Jesus hated the church. No, I can't say he hated the church. In the way that they tell this story, he was against the Pharisees and the Sadducees, but he wasn't against the church. Unless you go based on the Gospel of Thomas, then I would say yes. Brian's to fill a bunch of humans like balloons with helium and let them go into the sky and watch people lose their shit. That's not gonna work. All right, y'all are typing too fast. I remember this. People were trying to say that COVID was the beginning of the rapture, and I was like, "Yeah, but it's a whole bunch of non-Christians that's dying. So how you gonna call that the rapture?" Got a new person, Grand Rising Shape. Welcome to the fam. Right. And as Christians say, the church is just the people, then he hates the people. The praying in private was mainly well, that was tongues. My bad. That was the tongues part was in private. But I think there is something where he does say you should be praying in private, not all in public, because you getting everything then. But they're going to try because, like I said, we are seeing a huge decline in Christianity. I was scrolling through on Sunday. I was just doing this just to do it. But I was scrolling through a whole bunch of live churches, right? And I'm looking at the numbers. And one of the reasons why I was doing because I was telling Angelina when we was driving through Marietta, where I'm from, a few weeks ago, and I was telling her about this church, and it's this huge church, it's big as hell. That it started as this smaller church on the hill. Then they grew and took over this one building. And then they grew and built this huge building. But over the last like 15, 20 years, especially after they lost their primary pastor, who built everything, Grand Rising Debbie, they've diminished so much that they're going to lose that big ass building that they have. So that kind of stayed in my mind. And so I was just scrolling through on Sunday. Because I know New Year's on a Sunday, New Year's Eve on a Sunday, there'd be a lot of people in church. And I'm scrolling. Damn, church was empty as hell. The church, almost every church was very empty, you know, especially the ones that I came across that were Baptist churches. Empty. Just some old people, a few young people, a couple of babies. They losing their people. They're going to have to scare the shit out of people in order to get people back. They're going to have to. The book is written by the Romans. It does come from Rome with the help of some Hellenistic Jews. But it will, some Hellenistic Jews are the ones who helped write it. You say Bibi in Israel is trying to bring about the so-called Armageddon. I see Bibi different. I think it'll work in both ways though. I think Bibi is trying to be the Messiah that the Jews are waiting for. That's what I think Bibi is trying to be. But his actions could cause a World War III, which they will then say is Armageddon. And it has to be fought in that area in order for it to be Armageddon, because the main battle has to be fought at this city called Megiddo, which is where they get the term Armageddon. I'm about to put Human. You about to be in the same category with Trauma and Paul and Nikki. He's just saying some crazy off the ball stuff. I ain't never seen a black. That would be so funny to see a black Hebrew Israelite saying that he was serving Hennessy at the Last Supper, not wine. I'm gonna put you in that category. Trauma, you got a friend. Yep. And meanwhile, Islam is growing. Now, Islam is only growing because Muslims have more babies than anybody else. Muslims are popping them babies out left and right. Yeah, and I couldn't trust a religion whose ultimate goal is the end of the world. That makes but these religions have to have an end of the world scenario in order to keep people in fear. Fear is their tool. Scientology, now you're talking about the one like Tom Cruise and all that. The only problem with that one is it costs you a hell of a lot of money to be a Scientologist. They will break you over the coals and getting your money. They worse than damn near any other religion as far as taking your money. Let's hit a new generation of atheists or nuns. I think you're going to see more agnostics and Gnostics and atheists, and if I got anything to do with Hermeticists. Tyrone said, why is it so hard for Christians to comprehend that the 10 Commandments are ripped from the 42 laws of Ma'at? Because everything has to come from their Bible. If they admit that it comes from the laws of Ma'at or the Hammurabi Code, then they would have to admit that their stories and their books are, especially the first ones, are ripped from other cultures and not of their God. So it would undermine the foundation of their religion. What is Samuel 15, by the way? Remind me what that is. All right, and I fell behind, so let me catch up. You actually didn't sign up to Scientology. They use pretty women to get their dying. Hey, man, if you're going to sell something, get you some pretty girls. That works. Some pretty women always work. Pum Pum is great. Pum Pum be working. I'm with you, Brian. I would, if out Hermeticism, atheism, Gnostics, I'd even take agnostics and Taoism before I would take any of those other ones. Over the Abrahamics. Says about their right to obliterate Palestine, the Palestinians. Yeah. Okay. No. Have anybody else heard of this? The New World Order religion, Chris Lamb? I haven't heard of that one. Now I know that they built that Abrahamic compound, the Abrahamic compound in, what was that, in Dubai? But no, I haven't heard of Chris Lamb. But yeah, they would have to admit that they've been plagiarized and they've been stealing from previous cultures, and that would undermine their religion. Can you commit adultery if you are childish? I don't know what you mean by it. Like if you're a child? Yeah, explain that one. So I would imagine Chris Lamb is like what Trump was saying, is a mixture of Christianity and Islam. Right. Let me get my boots on. Cause that shit's getting thick. Yeah. I think that eventually that's what they're going to lead up to in that place in that Abrahamic center. They'll figure out a way to join all three. and then create a brand new religion. Druidism is hard. Let me tell you why Druidism is hard. Because you're going to run into the same problem with Christianity. When Vespasian conquered the Druids, he destroyed all their writings. All their writings. So hundreds of years later, the people tried to recreate it, but they didn't have any foundation to recreate it. So a lot of Druidism is based on Norse symbolism. So that was going to be hard because you don't have the original text. You might still be here. The advancements of medical technologies, it is very possible that even somebody who's my age, 52, could end up living to be 150 or longer. So who was it? We was just Angelina was telling me she was watching this documentary on Bob Marley, and she was watching this documentary on Bob Marley, and he was saying that his grandmother lived to be, his mother or grandmother, one of them lived to be 138 years old. So you might still be here. So when will the world end? When you die. That's when this world will end, when you die. Appreciate that, Orion. Grand Rising, sir. Thank you very, very much. I always appreciate when people donate. Thank you very much. It's not required, but I appreciate it. Y'all help me out with this one. Who was Uriel? Wasn't he one of the angels? I think. I'm not sure. I can't remember right offhand. Okay, Brian B. I'll check it out. He sent me something. Right. Trying to be 200. That's one of the things that we're going to talk about in the deal with in the group, subscription group, is one of the ideas, if you can become a master alchemist, you should be able to live as long as you like. I didn't think about it. It wasn't part of my thought process, but depending upon how that group goes, I sent a couple of people the Book of Aquarius, which tells you how to make a Philosopher's Stone. And part of the aspect of the Philosopher's Stone is that you will be able to live for as long as you like. I don't think many people are going to do it. Because when you read the Book of Aquarius, what it says, the primary thing that you need to make a Philosopher's Stone are sensibilities today will make people not do it because of the primary ingredient. And it is weird. It's funny because, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and tell y'all what that primary ingredient is. It's urine. The primary ingredient to making the Philosopher's Stone is urine, right? And then you have to do a whole bunch of stuff to it. And you most likely will fail until one time you get it right. This book, The Philosopher's Stone, the Book of Aquarius, disappeared online for a while. It was a big ass group that was talking about it, and people were trying it. And then once people start saying they achieved it, all of a sudden the page just disappeared. The whole group, the whole forum just disappeared. And then the Book of Aquarius disappeared for a while. But then it came back. I found it. Right. And I compared it to the I compared the one that's out there to the one that the group was using, because I was part of that group, but I hadn't started processing a Philosopher's Stone at the time. So it is the same book that they were using. Then I ran across a video with Ocho Cinco, and he was talking to Uncle Shay, and Ocho Cinco was talking about how when he sprained his ankle or something like that, that he would collect his urine and he would soak his ankle in it, and then he'd be ready for the game. And Uncle Shay was like, man, hell no. And how many of y'all want to make a Philosopher's Stone? How many of y'all want to make a Philosopher's Stone now? Thank you, Judy, for being here. People say that's witchcraft on your video. Yeah, they do. I care less. I used to care about what people say. I don't give two shits about what people say. You can't. When you start caring about what other people say who you know have no good intentions for you, you have to leave them alone. You have to you have to get your mindset and your emotional energy so that you don't care. It doesn't affect you. I'm gonna have to look that up. That'll be interesting. No, you have to be in the group. You have to be in the subscription group for that. And one, I have to create the link. Oh, you heard that one where he also did those things? Yeah. Okay, so Orion said it's possible to live for as long as you want to, but there's a catch. What's the catch, Orion? What's the catch, Orion? And I want you to now think about what Yuma just said. It's true. I heard people who do the golden showers have youthful skin. And even though Aleister Crowley was once called the most wicked man on the planet, but that was by Christians. What's the name of Aleister Crowley, of the group that he belonged to? Just think about it. What's the name of the group? Does anybody know the group that Aleister Crowley used to belong to? So I think Madame Blavatsky belonged to that group too. And I'm not saying I agree with everything those two people said or did. Does anybody know the name of that group? And damn, there's something. Oh, and I want you to think about something. Ocho, yeah, I know some people are like, but Ocho Cinco did not have the injuries that most NFL players have. Nope, that's not the name of the group. That's not the group. He wasn't part of Skull and Bones. What do you say? I have all enough, and I could live until 5 minutes from now if I choose that. I could decide until next week. Yeah. All right. Since nobody said it, the name of the group that he belonged to was called the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn. Makes you wonder what the golden part was. The Golden Dawn. And there was another group that also practiced it. Don't take the name the wrong way. And if you research it, you're probably going to get the wrong group. But it was called the White Brotherhood. And the White Brotherhood wasn't about white people. Now, if you look up the White Brotherhood, most likely you're going to get this group in Europe. You're not going to get the original one. Or you're going to get this other group in Colorado, but that dude was a scam artist. Even his wife wound up coming out and telling him that he was a scam artist. But the original White Brotherhood, because the other two are copies of it, they used to claim to have perfected the Philosopher's Stone. Could mean the rising sun. Yes, it could. That would be a good way to think about it. Or the Eon of Horus. Interesting. But nope. But they used to practice, they claim to have mastered the Philosopher's Stone as well. They were talking about that year. So you're saying the catch is that you can continue to have your autonomy to quit whenever you choose up until your incoming death. But yeah, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. The heat. You mean Hermetic? I never seen Heat. What is Noble? Is a magical organization described in 1907 by occultist Alice Crowley. Its memberships were dedicated to the advancement of humanity by perfection of the individual on every plane through the greatest series of universal initiations. Yeah. And he was considered evil because he went against Christianity. And like most things in Christianity, they make up bullshit about a person, just like they did with the Knights Templars, just like they do with Masons, just like they did with all these other organizations. Mm-hmm. There are people who want to live. They live till they decide they don't want to live anymore. You found it. What'd you find? What'd you find? Now understand, do what thou wilt is the short version. Is do what thou wilt as long as it doesn't interfere with the will of someone else. You know what? You're gonna make me go back and watch James Bond Goldfinger. I can't say yes or no to that. I have to watch it again. It's been a long time since I've seen that. Mm-hmm. They called him the father of the Satanic Church, which is interesting because the Satanic Church was around before him. Right. He was an avid mountain climber and way ahead of time. And you know that there was I forgot his name. There was this Chinese medicine guy, and it is claimed that he lived 256 years. And some of his proof of it, because they didn't have birth certificates back then, he had an emperor he had a letter from an emperor that congratulated him for his 100th birthday. And he had a letter from another emperor that congratulated him for his 200th birthday. And it is claimed that he lived to be 256 years old. And I think he supposedly died like in the early mid 1900s, like 1930, 1940, something like that. Welcome to the family. I will mess up your name. Anzakar, if I'm saying that right. I like to say people's names right. if I can. How would you view self harm if we're all immortals and had to end ourselves? How far do we, as people, have to push it years? Have to push it in years until we respect that reality. Respect that really. I'm not exactly sure because I'm reading this so messed up. But if I understand you correctly, then self harm would be when you do things that are against the betterment of yourself. Like the way we eat in America, especially, we're doing self harm. Um, Taking in unnatural, harmful drugs. Like I prefer cigars over cigarettes before I gain the appreciation of cigars because you don't inhale cigars. It's not still not. I wouldn't claim it healthy, but you know, even though it does create carotene in your body. I'm putting this up. Man, you got to get over this drought, bro. I know there's a character named Pussy Galore in that movie. You gonna make me watch this movie? I ain't seen it in a long time. But British High Society are into underage women. Yep. You know, they did so many things that they used to use. They used to like the pee of a virgin, bathing in the milk of a brand new cow, and all this kind of shit. But yeah, how you eat makes a huge difference. Yes, we know you like the weed trauma. What would you say? A life I don't have to end myself is one I prefer, is my point. Immortality seems like a commitment to have to go out by your own hand. I prefer to my life to end when I choose and how I choose. Like I choose to do it peacefully, and it will happen peacefully for me. I'm not going to die by some accident or some horrific way. So Abrahamic religion should be ridiculed 5 times a day. And Abraham was a punk. Like I said, yeah, Abraham was a punk. Man, pimped his wife twice to get rich. Christians wouldn't admit that either. That in order for Abraham to get wealthy, he had to pimp his wife twice. Yep. In our time frame, Mary was between 12 and 14 years old when she got pregnant. She's an underage girl. Unfortunately, for those people back then, as soon as a woman gets a period, she's considered a woman. Oh, and that's interesting. So, can we respect that that I'm people now, or do we have to become immortal before we respect another person's right to die when they want to? Probably would have to do that. You remember there was a big battle about euthanasia back in the day? What was that like in the late '90s? There was a whole battle about euthanasia. Yeah, we gonna have to get this man some help. Oh, trauma, you got a friend. Got to get this man some help. I'm just curious. Where are you? Where are you located? There was a series of books that I began reading in when I was going to Desert Storm called Casca. And it's basically about the Roman soldier that pierced Jesus in his side and the fact that he had to live forever. And that was one of his fears of being buried alive. And I think because he was working in a mine at one point, then he realized, damn, if I get caught in this mine, I'll be buried and it may take forever to get out. But that would be one of the things you'd have to consider. Well, they do. Suicide is deemed immoral and illegal because they want your money. The Catholic Church at one point had to outlaw and make it one of these unforgivable sins because Christians in the Middle Ages were killing themselves because they were like, life sucks, so I want to go ahead and get to heaven now. And so they had to outlaw it. Oh, you in England? Oh, we have some other Brits that come on. Where about in England? I have an uncle who lives in Banbury. Yeah, Dr. Death, I remember him. From my research, Jesus was a magician. He wasn't performing miracles, but he was. Yeah, and most of it would be that. And almost every miracle that Jesus claimed, that miracle that's claimed, you can find a magician who's done the same. What you see that Jesus turning tricks? Oh man, he was turning tricks. I mean, think about it. We've seen magicians do the walking on water thing. We've seen them turn water into wine. We've seen the so-called healings of people, and they've all been fake tricks. You know, we've seen all these things done as fake. And remember, even with the Moses so-called miracles, the the magicians for the Pharaoh supposedly was matching them for the most part. David Copperfield is going to rid the moon this month. Rid the moon? Will he ride the moon, or what are you going to do to the moon? Oh, you in Birmingham? Yeah, if Christians kill themselves, they would probably go straight to hell because that's what they believe they should go, and that's what their mind is going to create for them is hell. But the church had to stop people from doing that. Yeah. If you respect someone's right to immortality, then you should respect their right to off themselves. I love how we always diverge to multiple topics. You don't get much information about Mary's dad. Um, some people say that she had sex with a Roman soldier, and even though she was betrothed to Joseph, Joseph was gonna like kick it to the curb, but he went ahead and took her. But that was actually a child of a Roman soldier. That's one of those theories that's out there. Hey, you doing all right? All right. I try to read. I try to figure it out. If I can't, then I'll tell you. Can a magician feed 5,000 people from 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread? A magician, sleight of hand is an amazing thing. And yeah, yeah. If you ain't paying attention, they could be switching them buckets out and you don't even realize it. You know, you watching the right hand while the left hand is doing the magic. And yes, exactly, Isaac. Welcome to the family. We do determine where we go after death. It's all based on what we believe. What you truly, 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 truly believe is what you don't what happens after death. Okay, so we all gotta watch this. So in February, David Copperfield announced that he plans to make the moon disappear. The illusion said that he has had worked very hard to making this particular illusion a reality, and he hopes to pull it off in February 2024. I'm going to make that moon disappear, he told the world. I have multiple methods to make it work. I want to see that happen. You know what? That's one of the reasons why this channel exists. Is because there are people who feel alone, and I felt that way. I felt that way for the majority of my life, my early life. That's the majority of my life so far. Because I felt that way up until about 37, 38 years old. And I'm 52. So yeah, that's the majority of my life. I felt like I was the only one. There was only one other guy that I knew when I was growing up that felt that was the same way. No, but everybody else, I was ostracized from the community, but luckily not from my family. Does anybody know if this is true in the Quran that Muhammad did the same thing with the moon? You can't tell what happens after death after you die. The reason why I say that is because we manifest everything in our life today based on what we think and how we think things should be and our will. The only thing is that sometimes other people will impede on what your will is if their will is stronger. But when you die, there's no other will but your own. Yes, you did. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Brian, stupid. When I die, if you see me, go seek immediate medical attention. You won't see me after I die. I won't see you. I can't with human. I can't. I just can't. I can't. I can't. Now they were people of color, so they might have been asking for some hot sauce. Uh, Welcome to the family, Adriana. Right now, the subject matter is all over the place. Uh, it's all over the place. We today was what's wrong with the Bible, and we did Numbers 26 and 27. Um, but after we finished that, now it's just whatever people want to talk about is what we're talking about. There's probably like 4 different conversations going on right now. Right. He wasn't working alone. Just like any magician, he had other people working with him. Now, see, if he's going to make the moon disappear, it can't be during like the waning moon or the new moon. It can't be during the new moon because it's gone anyway. It has to be during the like the full moon, during that time for a growing moon. So what's wrong with the Bible? And I forgot to say this part. Um, if you are just now finding us and you are seeing that we're in Numbers 26 and 27, if you want to see any of the previous ones, you have to go to my YouTube channel and go to my playlist. And in the playlist, you'll see the other books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and we're in Numbers. But we break down all the inaccuracies, the contradictions, and the historical aspects that make it incredibly wrong. Say, how is he speaking to 5,000 people without a microphone? Now, I will say, and it doesn't say this, you know, the Greeks and the Romans built those amphitheaters in places where they knew they had good acoustics and everybody could hear. And some of those places seated 5,000 or more. But this was on top of a mountain. There's no way that those people was hearing what he said. But yes, especially when we was going through Genesis and Exodus, you can find the Sumerian or the Kemetic stories that match up to what was being said in the first books of the Bible. Oh, you must be close to my age then, Shay. Because I remember when David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear. Some good tricks. Only when man put their words in did it become corrupt when the first King James Bible was translated. But there's never been a version of the Bible where man didn't put his words in it. Man has put his words in it from day one, from when you start with Hezekiah all the way up through your writers in the first and second and third century. Man's word has been in that book. It is nothing but a book of man's word. All these books are man's word. I don't know who this person is. It said that Hassan Sabah. I don't know who that is. I have to research him. He's the creators of Assassins. Okay. But yeah, every religion is man's words in how he either created propaganda for his culture, how they lived their life at that time frame, what they believed was happening with nature, and their only ways of describing it. Oh, you'll be 49 in 2 days? Well, happy early solar return. Happy born day. A little youngin'. You're only 3.5 years old younger than me, but you're still a youngin'. Oh, happy born day to your dad. 75, still partying like a youngin'. I will be too if I get this when I get to 75. Yeah, when I'm 75, I'll probably be in better health than I'm in right now. That's another part of what we're going to be doing with the subscription group. We're going to eat better. We're going to exercise. We're going to stretch. We're going to meditate. We're doing all those things. Hello, sir. You didn't abandon religion. You abandoned and broke. You abandoned and broke system of worship and living. What? No, I abandoned your religion. I'm not Christian, Muslim, Jew, none of them. And see, the beauty of Hermetic alchemy is that it's not a religion. There is no God that you worship. And see, to have a religion, there has to be a God that you worship. Like if you go get a 501c3, there has to be a God that you worship. You have to have a system of rituals that you do. No. But you can have a philosophy and have systems that you do. But there's no God that you are paying homage to and that you worship. I've noticed that's been a new thing that people have been saying. Well, you didn't abandon. Yes, the hell I did. I worship no God. I just did a video on this yesterday, Adriana, where this isn't a new year. Prior to the Julian calendar, most civilizations represented the new year at the spring equinox, when life begins, not in the dead of winter. Yes, trauma. Trauma is the God that he worships. Yep. I give that respect to myself. Grand Rising Patricia, welcome to the family. I believe we are in a new age of spirituality. Everywhere I go and talk with people, I find they are questioning their religion, belief system. Religion was created by man, those in control, in order to control the masses. Exactly. We are walking away from these, and that is a big thing. We are walking away from these religions, away from the controls. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that, Brian. Angelina was trying not to be in my video at first. Then I had to move the camera so she could be in it, since I was using one of her videos, which is a great place to go. Really Did You Know? That's the name of the channel on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Really Did You Know? Where she just talks about some of the superstitious things that we believe, or how we come to think we do certain things, and where the story actually comes from. Ascribing some of the tributes of God on the universe won't qualify. I'm not sure about that one. Grand Rising Jeremy. Yeah, Jeremy. Meditation is great when you deep breath. His name feels great every breath you take, and agree to the New Year's. Right. The New Year's is the beginning of life. Who's calling folks ignorant? I didn't see that comment. It's 42 people, so these comments are going pretty quick on me. That's an interesting one. Since she left religion, she sleep well at night. Don't wake up rushing to make sure that she wasn't left behind. I sleep great. except for last night. My shoulder was killing me last night. Oh, so that's what he was saying. You breathe someone's name. He did say that. No, I don't breathe anybody's name. If anything, when you first start meditating, you just focus on your breath. It's your breath. It is not someone else's breath. It's your breath. And if you have to say who gave you breath, your mom and your daddy. Really? So you have a lot of anxiety. And that's one of the things that religion creates. It creates anxiety. And that's one of the things that you have to get rid of. You have to get rid of that anxiety. Anxiety is a fear of something that hasn't happened or is not happening, you know? But you're creating that as a belief within yourself. The simple answer of defining religion is a belief in a God, and then there are certain requirements that you have to fulfill in order to believe in that God. Certain things you have to do, certain ways you have to live, based on what that God has said is your process of worshiping that God. Do you think this mass walking away is the great fall away of the Bible is about? No. Every religion talks about there will be a time frame where people will start walking away from this religion. You can find that in Islam and Judaism. You find it everywhere, where there are going to be these so-called the antichrist of every religion. Right? It's a protection. It's a way to keep people in fear of that religion and staying with that religion. Because when they see people walking away, they say, "See, the Bible told you that. See, the Vedics told you that they was going to walk away. The Quran told you they was going to walk away." So as long as they got something like that in it, then it validates you staying in that religion. So there was always going to be a walking away. There was a walking away from the Greek religions, the Roman religions, the African religions, the Chinese religion, all of them. There's been a walking away from. And there's also been the forcing. I'll kill your ass if you don't follow my religion. What? I do vibrational methods that are unorthodox. Used to sing death metal when I do breathe. When I do breathe, where I'm not just focused on my voice. Yeah, vibration and frequency is one of those things that you have to understand in order to see how nature functions, how the universe functions. I'm not going to read this all. On this, the first part. Negative. Religion is a ring. Why ask me what is religion? Why ask me then? You already got your mindset. Why even bother to ask? Why bother? That's the thing about being hermetically sealed. Understanding that reality is whatever you decide reality is. It is not what somebody else decided it is. If that's what religion is to you, okay. Who am I to take it away from you? Go ahead and run with it. But all your religions have to believe in some religion has to believe in a God and rules and rituals and practices of that God. And it's all filled with belief, faith. It's not based in any reality. Unfortunately, they won't. People, especially oppressed people, have a need to believe in some religion. They need to believe that something is greater than what the life that they're living now. That some savior is going to come and help them, and they're going to have this greatness in life. And all the people that cause them problems are going to end up in this hell place. And when you have this situation, Adriana, then the Christian will come and say, well, it was God's will. But this God said that if whatever 2 or 3 of you come together in his name, then whatever you say will be done will be done. But it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. That is a huge lie. And most of the people don't even really believe it. I used to warn people all the time when I was Christian, stop praying with everybody. Because everybody's not on the same plane that you on. Everybody's not on the same vibration. And not on the same frequency. We're going to kick him out of the group. Nah, we ain't going to kick you out of the group. The only reason I still go to churches for the BBWs. And this is the thing about religion. First, they have to prove God, and then they have to prove their God. Right. Prove your God. Nobody can prove that any God exists, period. And it hasn't been done. When you do it, if you can prove a God, I'll get down with you. Because the only person going to save you is yourself. They tell you it's God plan, and it's not for us to wonder why. Right? Don't question God. I question this joker left and right. I will question this God every day of my life. And if your God does exist, I question that joke in the afterlife. Because I'll be like, I don't want to go with you. If you the God of this Bible or the Quran, if you are Abrahamic God, I do not want to go any place that you got set up. Because that place is hell. You can call it heaven, but it's hell. What did Jamie say? But if it's true, the sound of us breathing says Yahweh. If you breathe Yah and breathe out way, it's normal breathing. Yahweh said you will say his name to your last breath when I do the breathing. Oh my gosh. I saw this some dude, some pastor, priest, whatever he was, talking about this. Because it's the only sound that you make without having to move your tongue or mouth or anything. Is you're still first in the because I can breathe without making any sound. I can force it and my tongue still moves, even though it's slightly moved. It's still movement of your tongue. You're still creating the sound. So when I saw that, I was like, that's some straight bullshit. And this is the thing, prayer don't work. You can pray for a parking lot at a church and God answers that prayer, but not the prayer of healing the sick. Exactly. Like, I don't pray for a parking space. Like anytime it's this one cigar lounge that I like going to called Highland Cigar Lounge in Atlanta. And everybody complains about parking, man. They don't like about that place parking. I always get a good parking space. Because before I go, I determine and decide I'm gonna have a good parking space. Right? And just like this morning, my shoulders were hurting when I woke up this morning. And I laid there for a second and I said, okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep. And when I wake up, shoulders, I want this pain gone. Right? I ain't dealing with this bullshit. All right. And I woke up and I would say 95% of the pain was gone. And then I decided, okay, I'm gonna get up, but this shoulder pain, I ain't dealing with you today. I'm going to the gym because, going to the gym. So you got to be gone. And I don't have any shoulder pain right now. Yep. Most people don't realize that the patent on the Bible is owned by in England. It has ownership in England, and most of the things do happen. Everything happens in that book in Egypt and Africa, well, and the Levant, as we call it today. Yeah, I'll take two hands working over 10,000 hand praying. Sure will. Your actions and people's actions around you have more power than people sitting around praying for some outside entity to do something. All right, I'm with you, Paul. Oh, we got another Paul. Oh, Paula, sorry. I have never, is that my neighbor? Sorry about that. But my neighbor left some wood out for me to get, but I wasn't sure. I wanted to see him before I go and take that wood, because we burn the fire pit like 3-4 times a week. All right, when you're praying, something is praying on you. I like that one. Hey, Patricia, welcome to the family. I left the church. I left the Catholic Church when I was 19 years old. I had a miscarriage. I was alone and afraid. I went to the church, spoke to the Father, and he told me that it was a good thing because I was young and unmarried. I'm 52 and never looked back. Oh, wow. That's, for lack of a better term, that's fucked up. That's a mess. That is so messed up for somebody to say that. I would have walked away from that fool too. Right. Think about how many people pray for war to end, pray for famines to end, pray for people to get healed, and it doesn't work. And then this is another thing. If you're praying, but God has a different will for it, you're praying against his will. So that don't even make sense. That's counterproductive. And then on top of that, how is he going to say that your prayers will be answered if there are 2 or 3 of you gathered together in the same mind? Makes no sense whatsoever. Everything on this in our reality functions based on your will and that person's will and that person's will and all of y'all's will. Whoever has the strongest will, that's what is going to be reality. That's what's going to be reality. Every Christian should pray that they keep their job until they retire. And in today's world, that shit is unlikely because the will of the people who own that job, those are the ones who are going to win. Last night I was in a mood, and that mood basically functioned like this. I sound like a 4-year-old. You sound like a freaking slave. That's how that mood was last night. You sound like a freaking slave. All right. And if this guy has a set plan for me, then how is it that I made all my decisions that actually created my plan? Otherwise, this guy is setting you up for some type of failure to happen in your life. You sit up here and you want to have all this stuff. You want to do these things, but then that wasn't the plan. But you spend your life working on that plan. Please. Shit didn't work. Most of the time I don't. Most of the time I ignore people when they say stupid shit. You just trust me. If you can see all the comment, well, you probably can't see most of the comments. You can see most of the comments on videos that I produce, and 90% of them I ignore. Well, not 90%. Actually, my response rate is at 56% right now. Yep. And I always tell people, don't pray for me. That's just rude. I don't want you praying for me. I don't want no Christian to pray for me. None. Not even my family. Don't pray for me. Grand Rising Kelly. I think this is your first time. Welcome to the family. But yeah, praying don't work. You manifest the shit. So your child is way better at it. Children usually are, because children don't have all the bullshit in their mind that we may have grown up with. And see, these are those straw man kind of statements. Hold your breath and devise a better way to sustain your life. Fool, breath is the way that we live. That's the way our genetics are made up, that we breathe. That's a dumbass statement. Oh, I did not mean to click on that one. What's this? Prove there isn't free will if he planned and knew what you were going to do millions of years ago, according to these Bible. Yeah, that would be, if he had a plan, then you don't have free will. But I got all the free will, because I can decide to do. Watch, I decide that I'm gonna pull on this cigar, and nothing. But it went out. You know why? Because it's small. Cause and effect. When a cigar gets small, you have to keep puffing it in order to keep it. That's just the way it works, right? So I can decide I'm going to pull on it, but there ain't no heat. So that's why we throw it away. And if we want to, get another. But I have free will to do whatever the hell I want to do. I'm going to take a sip of this coffee. Oh no, God had planned for me to take that sip of that coffee. Or did I make sure that I had the coffee so that it lasted until I finished my cigar? Where was that? I saw something. I lost it. Oh, I just hit somebody's comment. Right. I know Calvinism, they do predestination. You know, that's like their main thing of why they separated from during the Reformation, when John Calvin was teaching predestination as the main kind of thing. Yeah, the issue with Abraham is they keep telling us via this imperfect book text that we are created to worship him, mentally and physical slavery. How you gonna be a perfect God, but you got a text that's imperfect as hell? No, not only in the Bible, Satan works for God and tells Satan to kill, and they are partners. I don't believe in God or the devil's last Satan. No, the God is you. The devil is you. Is you. Is you fighting yourself. There is no God or devil outside of yourself. Uh, it is the one that's in you and everybody else. Y'all typing too fast. Mm. Yep. Everything is under the command of the Almighty. The Almighty me. The Almighty me. How the rest of my day goes is based on the Almighty me. How the rest of my life goes is based on the Almighty me and nobody else. There's no God that's going to come down here and strike me down. None of that. If I get into a car wreck, it's because somebody else was driving. Either I was driving incorrectly or somebody else was driving incorrectly. But nobody else. But if people want to turn their life over and allow them and be slaves to somebody else's will, I let them do it. I just choose not to. And like Trauma just said, you always have a choice. Everybody has a choice. Do you believe in the metaphysical things that we can't see, touch, smell, or anything that's still not less affect our reality? Do you believe in the metaphysical things that we can't see, touch, or smell? Of course, there are things that we can't see, touch, or smell. We can't see, touch, or smell an atom, but we have instruments to let us know what an atom looks like, what an atom is, and atoms affect our lives. But your God don't. It's an interesting one. If we're made in his perfect will, some of these folks, the serial killers, etc., that's a fucked up vision. Exactly. Because they were made in, well, this guy is a serial killer, so and I mean that as a joke. But those people decided they wanted to be serial killers. They decided that they wanted to let that part of their brain take over. And they did. So it's funny. I tell people about how the Bible and the Quran sanction slavery, and their answer is yeah, but they're still slaves today. That makes it right. Exactly. That when they say they're still slaves today, that's just them not wanting to deal with the fact that their God sanctioned slavery. So instead of focusing on what you said, they want to go over here as if that validates the Bible allowing for slavery. If any of us were gods today, or any of us was writing a Bible today, any kind of religious book, I would hope that all of us have the morality to say that no man should own another man. Period. No one writing a Bible today, well, hopefully no one, but most people, so let me not say no one, most people, if they was writing a book of morality today, would not write that you should be able to own another person for at no point whatsoever. You should be able to do that. And you should. That's a morality that's higher than the morality in the books. So how can that God be the good God, the perfect God, if you allow for that morality? If you allow for the morality of killing kids, you allow for the morality of genociding people, enslaving women as sex slaves, sex wives. Welcome to the family, Buckeye for life. Y'all been having some rough years here lately, ain't you? That you're a Christian. God is supposed to be omniscient, but yet He is always putting mankind to the test to prove something that He is supposed to already know. Right? If He already knows it, then why is He asking questions? He should already know the answer to that. He should already know. He should already have known what Adam and Eve was going to do, what Moses was going to do, what all these people that failed Him was going to do. He should already know that everybody's going to fail Him. And so what does He do? So they have to write in a human sacrifice. Now, some ancient Africans did have slaves now. They did have people who were slaves. They were prisoners. They were normally people that they defeated in war, and they were prisoners. So they were that, but they didn't strip them of who they were in their humanity, though. So they didn't dehumanize them, as you said. That was a brand new thing with European colonialism and the Arab slave trade. So the Arabs and the Europeans took it to a whole nother level. Yeah, and they always try to say slavery meant something back then. They always trying to talk about how it was economic, but that was only for people in your same tribe. If it was people outside of your tribe, then you made them into chattel slavery. Right. He sent his son Jesus to be a human sacrifice. Just think about that for a second. The only way I can forgive you for the bullshit that I put on you is to send myself as a human sacrifice, but then forget that I am myself so that I can sacrifice myself to you as a human blood sacrifice. That's messed up. That he can't just say, you know what? I can tell in your heart that you are remorseful for what happened. Since I'm omniscient, I forgive you. Why does there have to be a blood sacrifice? Why does there have to be a human sacrifice? That's cruel and evil. What did Melba say? I think this is your first time here. The new question is, can God trust you to be alone with yourself and your thoughts without turning away from him? That's free will. When he trusts you and you don't trust you. It's free will when he trusts you and you don't trust you. If it was truly free will and this God existed, then this God would say, you have the free will to choose me or not. And there's no punishment for you not choosing me because I gave you that choice. And if you choose not to be with me, I'm not going to punish you for it. As soon as you add the punishment, you've taken away free will. So Christian version of it, that's not free will. The Abrahamic versions, there's no free will. Right. And the whole thing is a bunch of bullshit. But we are approaching the last few minutes before I get off. Oh, I'm going to answer this. I got to. Because life is in the blood. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can have blood in you, but if you stop breathing, your ass is going to die. You're going to die. You got to keep breathing. Life is in your breath, not your blood, right? Because when people die, do they still have blood in them? Yes, they do. But the sacrifice was not hard for him because according to this book, it wasn't a sacrifice because he knew he was going to get up in 3 days. So that's not even a sacrifice. That's a scapegoat or some bullshit. What if this guy truly sacrificed, then he still be in hell. He still be being tormented and taking on everybody's sin constantly. But you can't be in heaven taking on people's sin because according to your doctrine, there can be no sin in heaven, even though there was a war in heaven, according to this book. So no, there isn't any. There wasn't a sacrifice. I did a video where I talked about a true sacrifice would be like if my son committed murder, but I said that I'm going to sacrifice my freedom and I'm going to go to jail for my son. And he commits another murder and they add more time. He commits another murder and they add more time. And he continues to commit murders and they keep adding time. And I keep having to stay in prison. That's a sacrifice. Him murdering somebody, I go to jail for 3 days and get out of jail, but then he's still murdering people and I'm still free. That's not a sacrifice at all. No, that's an excuse. That's like your boy TD Jakes, who just said that, long as there's the blood, or there's repentance, I can, even if I did do it, I can always just repent. That's an excuse. Damn, Trauma, you gonna snitch? That's an excuse. That's all that is. So no. But before I get off here, because we are at the 3-hour mark and we are not going past 3 hours. And I need to make some videos before Angelina gets home and we go into the gym. Right. I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you very much. If you want to learn this to be hermetically sealed and understand the how to truly raise your consciousness, and we're going to do this by creating the evidence through your health, your relationship, and your finances, then get a subscription to the page that you're on, whether Facebook or Instagram. I mean, Facebook or YouTube. If it's the YouTube one, the Apprentice membership will not get you the videos or the few of the lives that we're going to do for that group. But I'm going to go deep into Hermeticism. We're going to go deep into the Tao. We're going to go deep into alchemy and the Hermetic laws. We're going to use practical things, getting your credit right, getting your finances right, making you more marketable, getting your health right, getting your relationships right. All those things are going to be part of it. So I implore you guys, if you're interested in that, to be a part of that. If you're not, and you're getting what you want out of this, as somebody asked, this page, these things we do here will still be here. We'll still do this. So it's just adding something else. And the reason why it's done in the subscription group is because I will not allow for people who are just there to scream Jesus or scream Allah to be a part of the group. If you do sign up for it and that's all you're coming in there to do, I will summarily kick you out the group. No problem with that in my mind at all. So join that group. Like I said earlier, Angelina has a great page. Really Did You Know? Definitely gonna promote her page, as well as our page, our travel channel that we just created called Eat, Sip, Smoke Travels. Join those pages. I greatly appreciate it, especially on Facebook. Y'all know Facebook is my favorite. So thank you guys for being here today, for going through the first part, which was what's wrong with the Bible. We did Numbers 26 and 27. And, we saw a few inaccuracies, like the Korath. How can the Koran have descendants when in Numbers 16, it said that it killed all his people? So how is it in Numbers 26, he still got people? And even though they tried to make it seem like they were doing some women's liberation, we saw that, we're going to see in 31 that women can't inherit anything unless there's a man of that same tribe involved. We also, it was reminded us of how Onan and were killed on some bullshit, and that Moses' mother was also his aunt. So that was his auntie mom. And how Moses got done dirty by this God. So even though the first part of it was boring as hell with all this person and that person. Oh, one thing I did skip in there when he talked about the tribe of Benjamin. I think Benjamin or Dan is one of them. I think it's the tribe of Dan or Benjamin. Shit. Is one of them. But it described two of the boys as his grandson. But in Exodus, it said that those were his sons. So that's a contradiction. Later on in the Bible, it's going to give another description of those. And it's going to say that their relationship is different as well. But we'll cover that again when we get there. Other than that, that's a pretty good summary of what we covered as far as what's wrong with the Bible. Numbers 26 and 27. Oh, and how the wife can't inherit nothing. Like, you're the wife and you can't inherit nothing. So even though they try to look a little women's lib in there, it's still not. It's still this guy treating women like trash. So I appreciate you guys for being here. And tomorrow we'll be live again around that 12 in that 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock time frame. So I look forward to you guys being here for tomorrow. Don't ask me what the subject matter is because I don't know yet. So y'all have a great day. And remember, always, we got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And I will see y'all tomorrow. And y'all can keep talking. I'm just getting off. And I'm out.